Hello everyone, and in today's video, like usual, I'll be predicting all 10 games of the game week, which is game week 6. And there's a huge game between Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur, which I will also be predicting, obviously. But at the end, I will also, like usual, be concluding my goal of game week 5 and seeing how I did in game week 5 to see if I can beat my record of 11 points. And we start off at St James's Park. It's Newcastle United versus Manchester City. Newcastle, we lost 3-1 against Fulham. Last week, I said we'll win at 1-0 against Fulham, and we did not. And you know what? We could have easily lost in all of our games in the Premier League. I know we've got 10 points, but look at it. We only just about scraped a point against Bournemouth. We scraped 3 points against Southampton. We scraped against Spurs. We scraped against Wolves. And we were found out against Fulham with Bruno Guimaraes messing up at the end there to make it 3-1 to Fulham. I don't think we've played fantastic. We are definitely not playing like a top 6-7 side at the moment. And facing Manchester City, yes, Rodrigo is injured. Yes, they haven't won in the last 2 games because they drew at 0-0 with Inter and 2-2 against Arsenal. But even all that said, Man City do look better than us. Unfortunately, I am going to have to go with the better side in this one. I know we don't have to play Wimbledon because obviously their pitch, I mean, I'll show you on the screen, it's absolutely crazy. It's been postponed. Yes, we're going to be able to rest up and put our hardest challenge against Man City. Yes, we're home, but we have not looked convincing to even get a point in this game. I hope we do, but I'm going 3-1 to Manchester City come the final whistle. As we move over to the 3 PM kickoffs, as at Stamford Bridge, it's Chelsea versus Brighton and Hove Albion. And well, this game, it should be offering a lot of goals coming into this game. Look at the sides. I mean, Chelsea, they absolutely thrashed West Ham United. But Nicholas Jackson scored 2 goals. Fantastic. And Cole Palmer scored as well. I mean, that side is absolutely cooking. I said in my table predictions that they've got a lot of depth at the club and some great wingers, and they've got everything. But Brighton, I mean, Mitoma created so much as one of the best players there for them. And they have Minter and Woifer on the bench, coming off the bench. I mean, look at the depth. They've got depth everywhere. But they do play a high line, and they have conceded goals because of that this season. Not many, but against Nottingham Forest, there was problems with the high line. And considering Chelsea has got such a great attack, and they play a high line, and it's at Stamford Bridge, I think Chelsea can score another 3. But Brighton, they've got an insane attack, and they're going to score goals. They've just got so many options that I'm going to have to go down the middle. Goals galore. Both teams have got great attacks. I'm going for a 3-all, 6-goal thriller between Chelsea and Brighton. And we move over to the G-Tech Community Stadium. It's Brentford versus West Ham United. And well, West Ham United have not looked good. 4 points in 5 games. 3-0 loss against Chelsea. It was a walk in the park for Chelsea. The way Lopetegui sat out the defence wasn't fantastic. The defenders weren't playing the right roles, I guess you could say. And also, when I was watching the defence, when Chelsea were on the attack, they were just composed and just passing around like it's just a little training session. And it was that easy because West Ham were not pressing Chelsea. They just weren't pressing them. The defence needed to be pressing more, but that didn't happen. It was poor from West Ham. Hopefully Lopetegui has learnt, and with Füllkrug possibly returning for the Liverpool game, maybe that's going to solve their striker problem. So Füllkrug returning could be huge, and they've still got quality in Jarrod Bowen and Kudus, and Brentford is an easier opponent than Chelsea. And Brentford, they've got no Wissa, so they can definitely take advantage of that. So I don't see West Ham United losing this game. Although Thomas Frank is a fantastic manager, and the tactics that he displays makes all the Brentford team link up really well. So considering that home, considering West Ham hasn't had the greatest of starts, yeah, I'm sorry, but West Ham, you're not getting 3 points. So I am going to go down the middle. I'm going for a 1-1 draw in this London derby between Brentford and West Ham United. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change it to 2-all because West Ham's defence has been a bit leaky this season so far. We move over to Goodison Park. It's Everton versus Crystal Palace. And well, Everton did get their first point and they took the lead again, and they looked tons better than Leicester City for a lot of that game, at least in the first half. And Ndiaye, he scored. We already seen some signs in his previous game as well for Everton that he's definitely a dangerous player. We have seen some signs. We've seen what Calvert-Lewin is doing this season. Last game he didn't score, but he did score in the other 2 games before this. Jarrad Branthwaite should be available. He played in an under-21s match against Sunderland. He played a full 90 minutes, so he seems to be fit. And you know what? Why not put him into the side? So you know what? I was originally going to go for quite high scoring, but if Jarrad Branthwaite is going to be returning for this game, then I am going to go lower scoring. But you know what? I think everything evens out to a draw here. Crystal Palace, specifically Dean Henderson, is going to stop a lot of those Everton shots from Calvert-Lewin and Ndiaye. He made so many saves. I don't know how Crystal Palace didn't lose that game against Man United. So I conclude this being a decently low scoring game. And I cannot split the sides, especially at Goodison Park. I'm going to go down the middle for a 1-1 draw yet again for Everton. And move over to the Emirates Stadium. It's the Gunners versus Leicester City. And if there's one team that could play a back 6 against Manchester City and it actually works to get them something in that game, it's going to have to be Arsenal. Arsenal is fantastic. Their defence is really good. And Arteta went with the back 6. I've never seen anything like it. And the amount of shots Manchester City have in the second half, it was all over them. It was pretty much like 100% ball possession to Manchester City. But honestly, they had everyone on the line. They were playing with no strikers. And David Raya made countless save after save. And in the Champions League game, we've seen that crazy save against Atalanta, the penalty, then saved it straight after. David Raya, I'm saying you now, he is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League by a long shot. He is going to keep another clean sheet against Leicester City, which were dominated by Everton and scraped a point against them. Definitely, I'm going Arsenal. I'm going 2-0 to the Gunners against Leicester City. As we move over to the City ground, it's Nottingham Forest versus Fulham. Nottingham Forest, Nuno Espirito Santos got sent off, so that's going to be a negative. And also, Morgan Gibbs-White being red carded, it's also going to be a massive negative. Does Fulham have a chance? Well, they won at 3-1 against Newcastle United. Raul Jimenez scored again, and what a goal. What a goal, and what a pass by Adama Traore. What a touch by Raul Jimenez, and what a goal. He's building his confidence again. Fulham definitely deserved to win against Newcastle. But Nottingham Forest did really well against Brighton. But overall, they didn't create many chances, Nottingham Forest. They did well when they had the chances to score the 2 goals. But without Morgan Gibbs-White, without your manager properly being there, being red carded, I feel like this could be a win for Fulham. Yes, I know Nottingham Forest are at home, and their fullbacks is fantastic. I would go for a draw, but something's telling me Fulham, the way they played against Newcastle, the confidence of Raul Jimenez, the likes of Adama Traore, with Smith Rowe also up there, and with Anderson at the back, with Bernd Leno being a world-class goalkeeper in my opinion, I think they can get a win. I'm going only just about, wouldn't be surprised for a draw, 2-1 to Fulham in this quite tight affair. But I originally had this 1-1 5 minutes ago. As we move over to the Molineux Stadium, it's Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Liverpool. Liverpool, they're back on form. They lost it against Nottingham Forest, but then they won against AC Milan 3-1. And against Bournemouth, they won at 3-0. And it was fantastic. They're much more controlled under Arne Slot. And in my opinion, they're going to score 3 again. But I feel like they will concede, especially at the Molineux. With the likes of Cunha, yeah, I think they will concede. I think it's going to be 3-1 to Liverpool against Wolverhampton Wanderers. As we move over to Portman Road, it's Ipswich Town versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa, they did it in the Champions League, won at 3-0, and then they do it again, getting on another comeback to win it 3-1 against Wolves. And well, the first half, I mean, Unai Emery summed it up. He said they were poo. That's all he did to sum up the first half. He said it was poo. And it was. They didn't play fantastic. But in the second half, things changed. And it was probably because they were tired from the Young Boys game. But then in the second half, they clicked. They scored 3 goals. And yet again, he scored again. Duran. What a player. I think he's made 0 starts in the Premier League. And has scored now 4 goals. You can see their depth. They've got Ross Barkley on the bench, coming on off the pitch, which for Luton Town played fantastic. They've got Duran coming on the pitch. Very clinical in front of goal, proving it with 4 goals in 0 starts. It's fantastic. Aston Villa are going to win this. Sorry, Ipswich Town, but Southampton probably deserved that win. And you just about scraped it against Southampton. And you do have some good players. But against Aston Villa, it's a different kettle of fish. And I'm going for a common scoreline, another 2-1 towards Aston Villa facing Ipswich Town. As I move over to Old Trafford, it's Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspur. The game at the start, which I said was the biggest game of the week, and it has to be. Two massive clubs. Both clubs are playing in Europe, so they're both going to be tired. So it's kind of cancelling each other out. And Manchester United, I mean, how did they not score in the first half? They nearly lost that game because they didn't take their chances in the first half. Because in the second half, because they didn't take their chances, Crystal Palace pounced on that. And they had loads of chances against Manchester United. And it could have won absolutely terrible. Yes, they won at 3-0 against Southampton. Yes, they won at 7-0 against Barnsley. But they draw against 0-0 against Crystal Palace. Just having a game where they draw at 0-0, not take their chances and nearly lose that game, but also most probably should have won that game because they were the better side. You cannot be doing that because that is not a team that tells me they're going to reach top 6. And for some reason, they didn't start Marcus Rashford, which played really well in recent time. Played well against Southampton and well against Barnsley. I mean, he scored a couple of goals against Barnsley, scored a goal against Southampton, and they didn't start him. Rasmus Højlund does return. He did come on, but maybe he's going to start him. Start him, or start Rashford, or start both of them, and I think they can score a couple of goals against a Tottenham defence, which is leaky. I've already talked about in previous game weeks on how their defence is a bit leaky because Ange Postecoglou's attacking football leaves gaps at the back. Defending set pieces isn't fantastic, but they won the last game 3-1. And both teams are going to be tired, so like I said, it's going to cancel each other out. And I want to go down the middle, but I feel like ever since Ange Postecoglou came in, he's set down a foundation on how good Spurs can be. And Spurs, they're going to win this. They're better. I prefer Ange Postecoglou's football to Erik Ten Hags. It's going to be high scoring, so I'm going for a 5-goal thriller, 3-2 to Tottenham Hotspur. Come the final whistle. As we move over to the Vitality Stadium, it's AFC Bournemouth versus Southampton. And well, Bournemouth, they lose again without scoring goals, but they create so many chances. So many great chances. And now, against Southampton, I think they can take him. Aaron Ramsdale's a great goalie, so he's definitely going to save a lot of shots. But the defence hasn't been what you would say controlled and padded. So I feel like even Aaron Ramsdale's a great goalkeeper, I think Bournemouth can score a couple of goals. But we have to credit Southampton. The first half an hour against Manchester United, they could have scored if it wasn't for a terrible penalty by Cameron Archer. They probably should have also got 3 points against Ipswich. They were probably the better side in that game. And Southampton, Tyler Dibbling and Adam Lallana assisted him. The veteran to the youngster, and he scores. Fantastic. He deserved it because he won that penalty, which should have most probably got Southampton at least a point in the Man United game. He looks really good. So I feel like they're going to get a goal because I feel like Southampton, they're building a bit of momentum and they finally get their first point. But Bournemouth, they've created too many chances against Liverpool, against Chelsea. And considering that home, they're a better side than Southampton. I'm going for another common scoreline, my third 2-1 win towards Bournemouth as they face Southampton. Now it's time for goal of game week 5. And first of all, honourable mentions to Jack Hinchelwood's header. Probably the best header in the Premier League this season so far. And then Mbeumo. I absolutely love that goal. It's quite stylish right at the first minute. But then my goal of the week is actually going to be Núñez. It wasn't just a goal, it was the fantastic pass by Konate. And then it was a great 1-2 between Núñez and Salah, and it was a great shot as well. You're probably wondering, how did I do in Game Week 5? Well, these are the results right next to me. And I got a couple of exact scorelines correct. And I managed to get 8 points this week. Let's push that out of the way. And overall, that puts me on 40 points out of 100 points. And you know what? This is my best start to any season so far. Get your predictions down below. And if you like this video, then why not check out my table predictions that I did in early August. Toodle pip!